What's up, everybody? My name is April. I'm a Senita ambassador, yoga teacher, and retreat host. I'm super stoked to offer you the first few videos pertaining to our yoga classes and our yoga practices here on Senita Sisters, a wonderful platform for us to all connect. So we will have a 4-part series. We're going to call this the foundational flow. First video that we'll go through together will be a warm-up. Second video, I'm going to really break down some sun A's for you. We'll flow through those a few times. Third video, we'll go through some sun B's, break that down from beginning to end. And then our fourth video, we'll have a really nice cool down to really kind of let it all settle into place. So when you're ready, go ahead and grab your mat, any props that you use. And for this first part series, we're going to move right into a child's pose. So from this child's pose position, let your hips get heavy towards your heels. Crawl your hands towards the top of your space. You're gonna let your third eye rest onto the mat. Once you find yourself truly arriving into this child's pose, let your eyes get nice and heavy. Keep the palms glued towards the ground, hips heavy towards your heels. Now continue to let those knees go out nice and wide, or perhaps you kind of knock them in more towards center. They might lie on your chest, on your stomach. Always encourage you to explore the width that you have and the comfortability that comes with that. So if knees out wide are working for you, then just focus on that breath. Keep filling up through your sides, through your chest. And find a nice slow exhale, let that go. Now from this child's pose position, let's find 3 more breaths just as you are. Big inhales and nice slow exhales. 2 more, just as you are. Big breath in. Nice, slow exhale, let that go. Now 1 more big breath in. Nice, slow exhale. Now from here, start crawling your hands back towards your thighs, so you'll be at the back of your mat. Let your ankles cross one another. Let your bum set down, so we'll have a seat back of our mat. Legs can be crisscross applesauce, or you can let them extend out nice and long if your knees have any issues, or if you just prefer to sit this way. But either way, wherever you find yourselves, I'm inviting you to close your eyes once again. Let your sit bones get heavy towards the mat. Maybe you scooch them back once or twice. Palms can rest right on top of your knees, perhaps your thighs. Roll your shoulders away from your ears a bit so you can sit up nice and tall here. Gently tuck your chin towards your chest. Notice how it feels to have that stack. So stacking the shoulders on your hips, head in line with your shoulders, neck nice and long. 1 more big breath in. And slow exhale, let that go. Now this time as you inhale, let your hands go up nice and high. Your gaze can follow. And as you exhale, we come right back through heart center. Now 1 more just like that. You're going to find a big breath in and exhale those hands right through heart center. Now from here, to your left hand, it's going to find your right thigh, and your right hand's going to go behind you. So you can be on your fingertips like you see here. Perhaps you have a block or something to bring the ground up higher for you. Feel free to always add that to these twists as well. But either way, keep your spine nice and elongated. Try to breathe in towards that shoulder you're gazing at. And let your exhale keep you here nice and grounded. Now this time as you inhale, let your arms go up nice and wide. And as you exhale, we're going to switch our sides. So that left hand will squeeze behind you. This time that right hand will find the outside of your left thigh. Finding that breath once again, let it really help you stack your spine. And let your exhale send energy right through that left shoulder. Beautiful. This time as you inhale, let those hands go up nice and high. And as you exhale, hands come right through heart center. Let your hands rest right on towards your thighs. We're just going to find a few neck rolls here. So allowing your right ear rather, to drop towards that right shoulder. I want you to stay here for a moment. Maybe you stay still and just breathe into this space. Maybe you tuck your chin towards your chest, slightly gaze up. Posture's still there, so roll your shoulders away from your ears. And then when you're ready, gently come through center. So tuck your chin towards your chest. Shake your head. Yes, no, left, right. Eventually that left ear will find the left shoulder. Slightly gaze up, breathe in. If something feels a little bit tense here, maybe you just stay, find a deep breath. Or you continue with the slight tucking towards the chest, slight gaze up. Now work on 2 complete circles going towards that right ear and left shoulder once again. Really completing all of the spaces, finding a breath. Beautiful. After that last one, let your hands go up nice and high. Let your gaze follow. And then as you exhale, we're coming right to a tabletop pose. So you're going to roll right on over those ankles. And let's set up tabletop pose here together. So your hips are in line with your knees, shoulders are above your wrist. Make a big base with all 10 fingers. So separate your hands here. We're just going to actually start getting into your wrist. So when you warm up for these classes, you should definitely see how the wrist feels since we put a lot of weight on them. So when you're ready, go ahead and just start making circles with your shoulders. You'll kind of let your hips press back towards your heels. Those hip bones come close towards the top of your mat. I always kind of encourage you to take this at your own pace as well. So just noticing how it feels as that weight shifts towards your fingertips, towards the insides of your palms. And right from here, we're going to get into what we call our cat-cow poses. So a beautiful way just to, again, get acquainted with your spine today. See how you feel. Beautiful mobility for your spine. Now, when you're ready, come back to that neutral tabletop pose. You're going to inhale, drop your belly, shift your gaze, tuck your tailbone up slightly. And then as you exhale, you push the mat away, tuck your chin towards your chest. A couple more deep breaths in. Your belly drops with every inhale. And you're going to really curve the spine, push the mat away with each exhale. And feel free to just find this at your own pace. So get intuitive. Let it match your breath to movement. If you feel like you want to linger in any one of these spaces, always know that's an option as well. Now gently find yourselves coming back towards that neutral tabletop pose. One more thing we'll do here, we'll thread the needle. So we're going to keep that left hand down. Inhale your right hand high, let your gaze follow. And now as you exhale, go ahead and drop that right shoulder down. Your hips will stay up nice and high. So you'll notice my hips are still in line with my knees. Oftentimes I see a lot of people try to sit down in this pose, but you want to try to keep the hips up. Left hand can crawl out towards the top of your mat. Perhaps it finds a bind towards the middle to lower back. Either way, find one more deep breath here. Send it towards that right shoulder. And as you exhale, keep you grounded. And as you exhale, let yourself stay. If you have a bind, slowly bring that left hand back towards the mat. Gently push in so you can come back towards that tabletop pose. We'll do one more cat-cow here just to even that out before switching sides. Now this time that left hand goes up nice and high as you find a breath in. And as you exhale, we'll thread that on through. Drop that left shoulder. It's always a safe bet to kind of replicate what you did with that other side. So if you just crawled that left hand forward, feel free to do that with the right. Or you can always find another bind, half bind, whatever feels best. Close your eyes, find 2 more deep breaths. Beautiful. Gently push into that right hand. This time that left hand comes back towards that tabletop pose. And from this tabletop pose, tuck your toes, lift your knees, and walk to the top of your mat. So we're going to find a forward fold. In your forward folds, I want you to heel toe your feet about hip distance apart or wider. Find a deep bend in your knees. Let your chest melt towards your thighs. Slight hinging from the hips. And in your fold, I encourage you to just do what feels best. So you can always just kind of gaze up and see what I'm doing here. My hands are just down. Maybe it's your fingertips. If you want to catch a ragdoll, you can always catch opposite elbows here. but I will always encourage a nice bend in your knees to protect that lower back. And then give your hippies some space. Go ahead and heel toe your feet about left, right, up, down. Shift that weight all over. Remember to kind of shake your head here a little bit too. So let something wash off of you today, something that's not serving you. Open up your jaw, unclench it, move it around. Now go ahead and release. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, find a fold. Now this time as you inhale, root to rise, bring it all the way up nice and tall. And as you exhale, those hands come right through heart center. Keeping that stance nice and wide, go ahead and inhale those hands back up. And as you exhale, bend your knees, hinge and folds. From here, inhale, halfway lift. We're gonna keep our right foot to the top of the mat. Bring that left foot towards the back of your mat. So you're gonna enter into a little runner's lunge here. Again, on your fingertips, hands can be on blocks, or those palms can be down nice and flat towards the mat. I always like to just give you the option in this runner's lunge. You can stay still, kind of gaze forward a little bit. You can kind of move your hips back and forth as well. Whatever feels best, just here for another moment or two. Now eventually you're going to let this left knee drop on down, untuck your toes. Right hands, both hands come towards your right thigh. Roll your shoulders away from your ears. We're just here to breathe for a moment in this low lunge. Continue to let that left hip get heavy. Pull your right hip back just slightly. Now this time as you inhale, let those hands go up nice and high. Stay here for that exhale. Now inhale, find a big breath. Exhale, both hands down. This left hand's gonna stay down. We're gonna find a twist. So left hand stays down. We're gonna go over a few options for this twist. So you can just find a big breath in, let your right hand go behind you. This can be your twist. If you have more, you can catch this left foot with your right hand. And as much as you're pulling that heel forward, you're kind of pressing that opposition, right? So you're pushing your foot back as you pull it forward, really allowing yourself to breathe into that right shoulder. And if you're somewhere in between both of these, I always suggest maybe the fingertips just find the heel. Maybe you kind of push your heel into your palm a little bit. Bunch of options. Just find the low lunge that works for you, and always know you can check out those other options taking this class again. Now find one more deep breath here, whichever lunge you're choosing. Now as you exhale, slowly bring that right hand down, tuck your back left toes. We're gonna come through a wide-legged forward fold. So you lift that left knee up. Let your toes go left, your heels go right. Fingertips can stay on the ground, and since we're not here for too long, I just, again, kind of a theme, encouraging you to get intuitive. Maybe you kind of just sway like you see me doing here. Maybe you're just staying still, kind of gazing down, letting your neck release. Maybe you're somewhere in the in-between. Either way, one more breath. Now, my friends, go ahead, inhale, halfway lift. We're coming to the back of our mat this time. So really all we just did there was switch that runner's lunge. So finding this runner's lunge, allowing that left foot to stay planted, maybe pushing those hips on back. You can always stay still here as well. And try to keep your hips low, spine lifted. Beautiful. Drop that right knee on down this time. Hands will come on top of your left thigh. Again, just try to push away a little bit, keeping that spine lifted. Hips are heavy. And always know you can come out of this lunge a little bit too, so less dipping into your lower back if that kind of hurts. Allow yourself to come out. Think more of a 90-degree bend with that left knee. All together, find a breath in, let your hands go up. Stay here for that exhale. One more big breath in, big reach. Exhale, plant both hands down. This time that right hand will stay down. As you inhale, find that low lunge twist, big backstroke. Option one, as we mentioned prior. Option two, maybe you just kind of find that heel, pushing your hand into the heel as you push the heel into the hand. or option 3, that entire bind. But either way, whichever one works for you, works for me. We are all different here. Find a couple deep breaths. Now slowly release that back foot. You'll tuck those right toes. You lift that right knee back on up. And we're coming right through that same wide-legged forward fold. Take your time. Once you find the top of your mat here, let your right foot meet your left. We're just gonna hold plank pose. So just to warm up the core slightly here. And I'll go through a couple options. So you can find this full plank as you see me doing here. You can always drop the knees, just making sure this doesn't turn into a tabletop pose, which is always cool. You can stay here. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself a bit. Or if you want a little bit more from here, lift your heels up, bring them close towards your bum. So lift your feet up, your heels go close towards the bum. But either way, whichever one you find, sit here and hold for 4, for 3, for 2, and down dog on 1. Bend your knees, push your hips on back. First time you're in down dog, we won't be here for too long, but again, we've stretched. We found activation through the core. We found our breath. So now kind of let this all settle in for this down dog. Remembering this is kind of just the warm up, so we want to make sure we're hitting all the spaces, taking note of how we feel. Just one more pose here for you. Once you're ready, from this downward facing dog, let's find some stillness and one deep breath. So closing your eyes, driving those heels on down, they never have to touch the ground. And when you're ready, find a big breath, really fill up. Let your exhale keep you here. Now this time as you inhale, those heels go up nice and high. And as you exhale, we walk to the top of our mat. We're gonna set up for a Malasana pose, a yogi squat. So your toes will go out, your heels will go in. Go ahead and drop your seat down. Hands can come heart center. Hands can stay on the ground. Or your Malasana can look like this too. Don't ever feel like you have to go that low if it's just not comfortable. But either way, this is kind of the pose that I will leave you in for our warm-up series today. And I want you to stay here for as long as you feel comfortable staying here. If you want to add some extra cushion, you can always bring a block under your bum as well. But I do want you to close your eyes, try to gaze forward, tuck your chin towards your chest. Let's find one more deep breath here together. And let that exhale keep you here. As mentioned, please feel free to stay here as long as you want. Maybe even take the class again if you could use that added warm-up. But I cannot thank you enough for flowing with me today, and I can't wait to share the other videos with you. So once you're ready for video number 2, we'll get into our Sunays.